Hello everybody, welcome to this part of the course and program. I believe in my heart and my soul that this is the most exciting part, really. At least for me it is. It's the most passionate for sure. But the reason I think this part of the course is so important and why it means so much to me and why it should mean so much to you is that you're not going to get anywhere unless you actually change the way that you think. And how you perceive reality is probably fundamental when it comes to you growing into the business owner you need to be in order to achieve the success that you want to achieve. And that's also why the first part of the course, or the first part of this mindset module, is metamorphosis. You see, there is the caterpillar, and the caterpillar needs to transform in order to become the beautiful butterfly. And as a business owner, or as an entrepreneur or someone who's looking to dive into the space and want to become successful, the same applies to you. You are going to have to go through a transition journey, and how you perceive that journey is crucial to your success. The way you think and perceive situations are going to be fundamental because it can technically alter the decision-making process that you make and then the actions that you take in accordance to that. So this is why mindset is so important. So in order to illustrate what I'm actually trying to say, we're going to think in a linear timeline. Now, disclaimer, I'm not sure if you know, but life is not linear. But for the sake of this video, we're going to pretend like it is. This is a timeline, okay? This resembles where you are, you know, the classic, if you lost in a mall, there's an arrow that says you are here. So this is where we are. You are here. And we can also call this, let's say, business level 1. Now, when I say level 1, it could mean anything, really. It could be that you're just starting out. It could be that you're ready to take the next step or the next phase, ready to embark on the next level of growth. Level 1 could mean anything. It just means that's where you are now. And pretend that you're on level 1 and you want to get to, for example, level 10. So level 10 will be over here. This will be the goal. And for the sake of the analogy, this is the caterpillar stage. So this stage over here resembles the caterpillar stage, and we're going to have to deal with life's ups and downs in order to go through metamorphosis so that we can become the actual butterfly. So that is what we're looking to do. We're looking to become the beautiful butterfly, the successful business owner that essentially has all the skills it needs in order to build the business and sustain the business, you know, that it wants to create for itself. So one thing we actually need to understand is that if you are here, you will not be able to achieve level 10 success, purely because you are not that version who can deal with the pressures and the pain points, and you're not the person who can come up with the necessary solutions in order to sustain that level of growth and success. So we have to go through this journey, and everything from today is just part of that journey. And that's how you should look and perceive not only this program, but also just life in general. I have inherent belief that where you find yourself is exactly where you need to be, and the situations that you are attracting from now, once you've made the conscious decision to become that level 10 business owner, that level of success, when you decided that that's what you want to achieve, then essentially now everything that happens between now and then is just part of the process. And the problem is a lot of people see the challenges that will arise as hurdles that they have to, you know, ninja their way over in order to make it safely on the other side. But I want you to change the way you think about a challenge. See, I don't see challenges as hurdles. What I see a challenge is as a pathway. So in essence, what I want to quickly demonstrate is that you might see that there's this big block in the road. So this is the road, and this is where you want to be, and you are over here now. Ideally, this is not necessarily a block in the road that you have to jump over. What you can technically see this as is as a portal that essentially allows you to enter and exit. And in this portal is what will happen is metamorphosis. okay? It's the change. So a lot of people try and navigate their way around this, and they go, well, I can jump over, I can dig my way under, I can move around. And I think that's a limited way and a very low level vibration and a lack mentality that sees a challenge like that. You know, the most successful people see challenges and opportunities, and essentially what that alludes to is that the opportunity is the pathway. The challenge is the pathway. And if you see it as a portal where you go in and you go through this challenge, and the pressure starts to create this diamond, essentially, when you exit the portal, you've leveled up in this game of business and entrepreneurship, and now you're ready to take on the next level of issues and pain points and pressures in order to achieve the life that you want to achieve. And that's how I want you to think about everything that happens as of today moving forward. And that's just a little point that I wanted to get across for the Metamorphosis module. So I hope that you kind of like enjoyed that little analogy. I do believe it will add a lot of value to your life, because it's added a ton of value to mine. And I can end off with a quick story. And that is that I've always been very optimistic as a human being. And I always decided that no matter what happens, it will constructively serve me. Because growing up, I used to be very, very religious. My mom and dad always said everything happens for a reason. So that just got installed into my subconscious, and I always believe no matter what's happening, that is just part of the process. And that's actually what allowed me to endure pain and stress and anxieties. And funny enough, in 2021, the business was about 3 years old. That's V8 Media, which is one of our main business, essentially, which is the agency. Around that, we have other companies under V8 Capital, businesses that we've invested in. But looking back at V8 Media and its journey, what happened was in 2021, the business grew so quickly that I actually thought that we were just going to lose everything. And things were just falling apart. There was just a ton of things that went absolutely south. We grew too quickly. We didn't have the team to sustain that growth. We didn't have systems and processes, and we were just biting off them more than we can chew. And I'm not really an anxious human being. I'm not really someone who essentially goes into a high level of panic easily. But one of the evenings or mornings, actually, I woke up, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was going downstairs. I'm feeling nauseous. I vomited because I didn't want to wake my wife up in the room that we were sleeping in. And literally, a few minutes later, she came down and went, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Listen, I think it's something I ate. I don't feel well, like I'm super nauseous." And she said, "Listen, I've been observing you for the last few days, actually weeks, and I think what you're going through is a panic attack. I think you've reached a point of now your body's decided that you can't take it anymore." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, I'm not that, no man, that's complete BS. I don't think that's what's true." And she was like, "Are you sure? Because you've been going through a stressful time." And I just played it down, went to bed, but it stuck in my mind. And I sat there and I was like, maybe I am having a panic attack, And it turns out I think I was there was an ulcer in my stomach because of all the stress that I was having. I was always feeling overwhelmed. My heart rate was out of the rhythm. It was always high. And essentially, it was my body physiology, in a sense, just reacting to the environment that I found myself in, because my mind looked at what was around me and thought that it couldn't handle it. And my body responded to my mind. My mind was overwhelmed with what was happening. My mind said there's no way out of this. My mind said we were going to lose everything. So my body reacted to my mind, and that was the actual physical expression of all the panic and stress. And I read this book called The Surrender Experiment. Very cool book by a guy called Michael Singer. And essentially in the book, he speaks about, how he surrendered to the flow of life. He had this little voice in his head always guiding him on what to do. And even though if he was alone, finding himself in isolation, somehow there was this inner presence that just always calmed him down and told him, it's going to be okay. And that always allowed him to stay optimistic, no matter what is happening around him in the present moment. Bottom line is, this guy became a billionaire, and he says, and he gives credit to, the only thing he gives credit to really, is this little voice in his head, which we call our intuition or the Holy Spirit, or, depending on, your belief system. There is this voice in your head, this level of intuition, your higher self, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. And knowing that you actually are a spiritual being, it's something that I believe inherently, and we can talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. But the point is that you are not alone no matter what you're going through. It might feel that way, but there is always a presence within you that is guiding you and helping you, should you choose to feel that presence, and should you choose to listen to that voice and that spiritual part of yourself, if you will. And as I read this book, I was like, you know what? Everything is going to be okay. And the business got to a point where I was just like, I can't do more physically. So I'm just going to do what I can and surrender to the flow of life. And that same year, we tripled our growth. And if I look back now, we've already quadrupled. If not actually, I think we've quadrupled that now. Between 3x and 4x between what happened in 2021 up until now. So there was my mind telling me that you cannot do this, everything's going to fall apart. My body was physically expressing all of those beliefs. And then I read this book and I was like, wait. I can feel that there's this inner presence in me. I believe everything happens for a reason. This is all part of the process. This is not a hurdle. It is a pathway. And that was me going from level, let's say hypothetically 2 to level 3 and level 4. Because I was going through this metamorphosis. Now, when things fall apart around me, I go, you know what? This is good, because once we fix those issues, we're going to be better as a business. And we're going to be able to achieve more levels of success. And that is just my way of thinking. And I would encourage you to start seeing life the same way. It will make the journey so much more fulfilling, and it will make the journey a lot less painful, essentially, than it needs to be as well. So hope there was some value in that. I'll see you guys in the next video.